Salutations, gang. It is great to be back. We are loaded for bear this edition of the Rolling Stone. But before I get started, I really have to thank all of you. It's been just about a week since I published my video about what was going on with the channel and why in recent months videos have been very late or not even getting posted at all. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for your shows of support, your understanding, and your patience with me, during, kind of what I explained in that video, working a couple of jobs to keep myself afloat and still trying to produce at the same level of quality that I expect of myself to give to all of you. So first and foremost, thank you very, very much for your, like I said, your patience, your understanding, and your support. Second item on the menu is I have to tell you what we are not going to be talking about this week on the Rolling Stone, and that is the presidential debate. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I'm sorry if I just disappointed you all, took the air right out of your balloons by saying that I am not going to be talking about the presidential debate. But there are a couple of reasons for that. The primary one being is that I didn't watch it. I was working on some other things, some of them actually involving videos for the channel. And besides from that, the other reason why I didn't watch it is because I don't think that presidential debates actually further anything today. They're not designed to persuade people. They are not designed to expose the weaknesses of the other candidate. They're not designed to expose the weaknesses in his argument. It's pretty much, I think I described it on Twitter as it's a bloodless gladiatorial fight for politicians. That's what presidential debates are. And I knew, even though I didn't watch it, I knew that this one must have been particularly bad because I saw people at polar opposites of the political spectrum saying how bad it was. When the Wunderkind himself, Ben Shapiro, and Mark Hamill both are saying that was that was the worst presidential debate that they had ever seen, I'm going to assume that it was pretty bad and that it dissolved very, very quickly, almost as soon as it began. So we will not be talking about the debate. Again, I don't even think that debates matter anymore because, especially in these partisan times, most people already know who they're going to vote for, and the people who are still hemming and hawing, they're really not going to shift the outcome one way or the other. The old conventional wisdom that it is the independent voters, undecided voters, moderate voters, however you want to describe them, that they are the key to winning elections. I think that has been torn asunder pretty well. So we are going to be talking about other things. Now, the first story that we are going to be talking about this week does have to do with President Trump because, as I'm sure you've all heard, there was a big old huge bombshell of a story that was dropped by the New York Times last Sunday, okay? Which was this: President Trump is not paying his income tax. Oh my goodness, yes. This was the big story that the New York Times and the rest of the left thinks is finally going to get Trump. The New York Times reported that in 2016, the year that Trump actually won the presidency, he paid only $750 in federal income tax, and that in 10 of the previous 15 years, so from 2000 to 2015, in 10 of those 15 years, he didn't pay any federal income tax. So of course, the left and the right predictably fell into their respective camps. And I have problems with both of their reactions. So that's what we're going to be talking about first and foremost. To start off with, on the left. The left has been running around shrieking that not only does this prove that Trump is a cheat and a liar, that he's a poor businessman, that he doesn't care about the American people, that he's gaming the system, that the system is just made so that politicians and everyone, can stick it to the little guy. Not only are they saying all of that, but they are also saying that this is now a national security issue. Because, oh my gosh, if his finances really are as bad as these reports say, then that makes him the perfect target for foreign influence. And when we say foreign influence, of course, we mean the Kremlin. We mean Russia. We mean Comrade Putin, the Tsar, his imperial 21st century highness. That's what's going on in the left. And that's a bunch of crock, gang, okay? There is a lot of misinformation that is being peddled. I found a really, really good article breaking all of this down on the Federalist's website, written by a guy named Ryan Ellis, who is himself a tax attorney. And one of the big points that Ellis made is that the New York Times and pretty much every other outlet on the left has committed journalistic malpractice because when reporting on this story, they did not mention some very, very basic things. They failed to explain to us, the readers, us, the reading public, okay? We, the people. They failed to explain several things. For example, Ellis says in his piece on the Federalist that the New York Times did not differentiate between tax evasion and tax avoidance. Tax evasion is illegal. Tax evasion is when you basically cook your books so that you pay less federal income tax than what you justly should, because you've basically lied about the income that you made for that year. Tax avoidance, on the other hand, despite its name, is perfectly legal. That's when your army of well-trained tax attorneys, the experts of their field, that's when they just slip you through however many loopholes as they can so that you pay the least amount in federal income tax that you can. Okay? So that is exactly what Trump was doing. Ellis was saying in his piece that if you actually know the jargon that the New York Times throws at the reader, and again, most of us, and I include myself in that, didn't know what these terms meant, okay? These are specialized terms for tax attorneys, people who understand the tax code, and there aren't very many of those around. So, by failing to do that, the New York Times was actually trying to say that a crime had been committed, that a scandal had been uncovered, when all of this was perfectly legal. That's the bottom line. Trump paying $750 in federal income tax in 2016 is not a crime. It's perfectly legal because it was his tax attorneys slipping him through all of the legal loopholes that are in the tax code. Okay? If you are just using loopholes, if you're going through loopholes that are already set up in the tax code, you're not committing a crime because you are not breaking the tax system itself, okay? You might be exploiting it, you're playing the game, but you're not committing any crime. And that's the real hypocrisy here on the left. You have people from AOC to Chuck Schumer saying what a horrible scandal that this is. Well, in the specific case of Senator Schumer, Senator, you have been in the Senate for 22 years. And before that, you were in the House of Representatives. You've been in Congress most of your adult life. This has been going on way before Donald Trump ever won the White House. If this is such a scandal, if this is such a horrible slap in the face to us, the American people, then why haven't you and your party actually try to stop up these loopholes? Why haven't you revamped the tax system so that people can't exploit it? Even better question, why didn't you do it when you had all the cards? Remember, from January of 2009 to January of 2011, the left and the Democratic Party in particular, they held everything. They had the White House with President Obama. They had a majority in the House of Representatives and a majority in the Senate. If this was such a horrible injustice, they could have changed the tax code then and stopped up these loopholes. They didn't. And the reason why they didn't is because all of their rich donors and buddies are exploiting the same loopholes that Trump did. That's what it comes down to. They didn't want to get rid of those loopholes because that is part of the kickback that their donors get for donating to them. That's the hypocrisy here. And even more than the hypocrisy is the real crime that was committed. And this goes back again to Ryan Ellis's piece. Ryan Ellis reminded people that it is a federal crime to reveal tax information for any person or organization or institution to reveal or leak tax information without that person's express consent. So the fact that someone leaked Trump's tax information to the New York Times last week means that someone somewhere committed a federal crime. And I would bet that that person was very well rewarded for actually committing that crime. Now, who that person was, what sort of reward he got, well, we're not going to look too deeply into that. No. His anonymity is assured. I can guarantee you, gang, of that. So that's everything that's happening on the left. The right, however, is just as bad. You know, I find myself becoming more and more disgusted with the right and with the American conservative movement in general. I think because we know what the left is. We know how they think. We know what they're going to say, what they're going to do, what they're going to propose, how they're going to react. But the right, we hold them, or we should hold them, to a higher standard. They're the ones who are supposed to be defending the country, our institutions, our culture, our traditions, etc., from the onslaught of the left. The conservative movement, in the words of William F. Buckley, is supposed to be what's on top of the wall of history shouting, "Stop!" And yet they continue to fail in that mission. They continue to snaffle every single opportunity away. They never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And this story was case in point. Practically every single conservative commentator that I saw, again, within my limited scope on social media, etc., all that they were doing was defending Trump and saying he didn't commit a crime. You know, if you simply use the loopholes that are already in the tax system, it's not a crime. There is no crime. There is no scandal. Lauren Chen even said that paying the least amount in federal income tax isn't a scandal. It's actually an accomplishment. And of course, that got a lot of applause and a lot of applause. Let me just say that. But here's the thing: the opportunity was completely missed to actually argue for republicanism. And by republicanism, I don't mean the Republican Party. I don't mean the GOP. What I mean is actually republicanism, the system of government that we are supposed to have, and the sort of society, the sort of mindset and virtue that we the people are supposed to have in order to maintain a Republican system of government. Because here's the thing, gang, it's true. Trump did not commit a crime. Let me make that again loud and clear. When he paid $750 in federal income tax in 2016, Trump did not commit a crime. That's true. It is also true, simultaneously true, that it is a slap in the face to Republican government and to a supposedly Republican civilization and Republican people to have a tax system that allows people to do that. It is a slap in the face. Why? Because it makes us unequal in the eyes of the law. In the eyes of the government, then, we as individuals and as taxpayers are not equal. And here's what I mean by that. As I mentioned before, Trump was only able to do this. And it's not just Trump. Every person who is able to exploit the loopholes in the tax code to the extent that Trump did is only able to do so because they have a crackerjack team of tax attorneys that know the tax code inside and out, and so they know which loopholes they can plug their clients into. Okay? That's the only way that they can do it. Because again, the US tax code, it's like the labyrinth. Once you start going down the rabbit hole, who knows where you're going to end up? That's why tax attorneys, people who do your taxes, they make a lot of money. That's why their fees are so high. They make a very comfortable living because they have to know. They have very specialized knowledge in a field that pretty much affects all of us. Okay? That's why, that's the way that it is. Which is fine, on the individual level, but here's where it gets anti-republicanism. You can only afford the army of tax attorneys that can plug you into all of those loopholes if you actually have the cash to pay them. Because like I just said, they ain't cheap. So what this means is that the people who can pay, the people who are already wealthy, they can exploit the tax system. They can only pay $750 in federal income tax or no federal income tax. The rest of us who cannot afford the tax attorneys, we have to pay and pay and pay and pay every single year. We don't get to keep our own money. We have to pay. That is what is so wrong with the system. That's what this story really shows. Not that Trump did something wrong, not that there's a new scandal, not that he's susceptible to foreign influence. That's a bunch of, that's cock and bull, gang. We all know this at this point. The real lesson, the real story here is that the tax system itself is antithetical to Republican self-government and to a Republican civilization. That is what the right should have been hammering, and yet it didn't. It failed again because the modern American right, I am convinced, and again, I'm speaking generally here, taken as a whole, the modern American right cannot see beyond its own nose. It can't. It lacks the imagination to do so. And plus, it in and of itself is part of the problem. It itself has become institutionalized, which actually is one of the primary reasons why it can no longer think outside of the box. Instead of taking this opportunity to say nothing was illegal, but this really proves that the tax code needs to be revamped so that the burden of taxes does not fall on the little guy, on the middle class, on the common people. The tax code needs to be revamped. We're all talking about populism, or popularism, right? What better popularist position could there be than to say that you want to simplify the tax code so that all of those loopholes can be plugged up. So then the tax system treats everyone equally. We are all equal before the throne of God, in the eyes of the law, and in the eyes of the tax man. That's the message. that should have been sent out. That was the message that was failed to be sent out. And some people might say, oh, well, it's all meritocracy. You know what? Just work hard, you'll make a bunch of money, and then you'll be able to exploit it too. I'm sorry, but we are never going to live in a society where everyone is a millionaire. We just aren't. That's a libertarian utopist idea, and utopias are always the enemy, not only of reality, but of the common good. So I refuse to actually buy into that, first and foremost. Second of all, that does not change the primary issue, which is the system itself, that the system is bloated, bureaucratic, and maze-like on purpose, deliberately, so that the people who can pay, so that the people who can navigate their way through it can exploit all those loopholes. That doesn't change the fact. That's a no starting argument for me. And the right should have made that argument too, but it didn't. And sadly, that is, in large part, the state of the American right today. That is story number one.